Right, here's the second part of this video tutorial. We should already have our sprites in here, and we should have our sounds, and we should have our objects. Now, I mentioned earlier, the only thing we need to do to the wall is double check that it's solid. But the clown is going to have a number of events and actions added to it. So let's open up the clown, and you'll see there's a column here called events. And events are like major things which happen in your game. So for example, at the start of the game, we want the clown to be created. The next event we're going to have is what happens if the clown collides with the wall. The next event happens is what happens if we click on the mouse, the clown with the mouse button. So for each event we can also add actions, and actions are split into different kinds of categories or tabs. So you'll see on the right hand side here you've got tabs called things like move, main 1, main 2, control, score, and these have all the different actions that can be used throughout our game. So the first thing we need to do with the clown is we choose add event and we tell it to create. So at the start of the game we want the clown to be created, and once it's been created, the action we want to apply to it is that it's to move around the gaming area, the room. So I'm going to select this move option and I'm going to click on each of these arrows in turn. What that's going to do is that's just going to let the clown randomly decide whether it moves left, right, up, down, diagonally or whatever. And then I'm going to set the speed. Now I'll speak to you in more detail about this later, but for the moment make sure you choose speeds that are to the power of 2. In other words, 2, 4, 8, and probably just keep it to something like 4 or 8 at this stage. You'll notice the square's not being selected because that would actually stop the clown from moving. So it's just all the arrows we've selected. We've chosen speed. Nothing else to be done but click OK. So this will mean that once the game starts, the clown will start moving around. Now the next major event is what happens if the clown hits the wall. Well, we want it to bounce off the wall and we also want it to make a sound. So I come to add event, I pick collision event. It then brings me up a list of other objects in my game that it could be colliding with. So in this case, it's obviously the wall. It can't collide with itself. So we say you're going to collide with the wall. Well, what do we want to happen when it collides with the wall? We want it to bounce off it. So again, I'm just going through the different categories within the move tab. I've got move, jump, and this one here, again, just hover over any of these. Don't be scared to have a look and see what they are. This one is bounce. So I'm going to say bounce, and you can see that it says bounce applies to the clown. It's going to bounce against the wall, solid object, and OK. As well as doing that, we want it to play a sound. So we've got this sound called bounce, so we need to actually use that in our action. So again, we'll come into the main 1 tab, so it's nothing to do with movement. Main 1 has some other things that we can do in our game to do with sounds, sprites, rooms. So we're looking for the sound one here, and it's play sound. Again, if I leave it at no sound, nothing will happen. So I click across and say, well, which of the sounds do you want to play? I'm going to pick bounce. So you'll see that this undefined will change once I click OK. If you see play sound undefined, you've forgotten to pick your sound. And click OK. So that's my second main event. My most important event is my third event, which is going to be what happens if I click on the clown. So I'm going to click add event. The event's going to be triggered by the mouse, and it's going to be when I press the left mouse button. Now that's the event, and it's going to have a series of actions. So the first thing that I want to happen is I want to get a score. So when I click the left mouse button, I'm going to get a score. So I go to the score tab and I drag across this one here, which allows me to set the score. I'll make it 10, 5, it doesn't matter, 10 points. Now this button down here, relative, is really important because it determines whether my score would stay at 10 all the time or whether my score would do 10, 20, 30, 40. If I forgot to click relative, every time I clicked on the clown, my score would go to 10 and it would only ever stay on 10 no matter how many times I clicked the clown. So I must click relative so that I'm going to gain points every time I click on it. Once it's done that, I then want the clown to jump to a new position. So I'm going to go into move, and I've got this one here which says jump to random. That just says go anywhere you like, jump to some random place in the room, and we'll say OK. I then want it to start moving again, so I have to select my move action from the move tab, choose all of my arrows, Don't forget to set the speed, otherwise it won't move. And OK that. And then finally, I wanted it to play a sound when I clicked on the clown. So I'm going to go back to my main one. I'm going to pick my sound again. Don't forget to choose the sound. In this case, it's going to be click when I click on the clown. And I'm going to OK that. So these are all the 3 events and all of the actions associated with these events that have been added to my object. I can OK to close that down now, and then I'll record the next video for you.